At 94 years old, most people are no longer the masters of their lives. Their days are often filled with dependence, their movements slow and painful, their minds clouded by years of unmanaged chaos. Many sit quietly in care homes, waiting for time to pass, as their bodies and minds surrender to the long accumulation of neglect. But then there are a few, so few they seem almost mythical. At 94, they wake up alone, not in loneliness but in sovereignty. They prepare their own meals, walk through their homes with steady steps, dress themselves, and manage their days with calm precision. Their minds remain clear, their voices strong, their spirits full of quiet gratitude. They are not merely surviving, they are fully alive. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the true master is not the one who escapes age, but the one who commands life even as age advances. You see, reaching an old age is not rare. Millions do. But reaching 94 with health, clarity, and independence is something entirely different. It is not a gift. It is not luck. It is the direct result of a lifetime of invisible disciplines. And these disciplines are not grand or complicated, they are small, daily, and deliberate. The world often views aging as a sentence, a gradual descent into fragility. People accept stiffness as normal, fatigue as inevitable, confusion as natural. But those who understand the nature of mastery know that aging is simply the magnification of one's habits. Whatever you planted early, you harvest later. Shi Heng Yi says, time does not create weakness. It reveals the strength or weakness of your practice. And that is why, when you meet someone like this, a man or woman living fully at 94, you are not witnessing a miracle. You are witnessing years of quiet choices. Choices to move when others rested. Choices to breathe deeply when others rushed. Choices to release resentment when others held on. Choices to maintain balance when others collapsed into chaos. There is a kind of dignity that radiates from such people. They don't need to tell you their story, you feel it simply standing in their presence. Their energy is calm, grounded, and steady. Their eyes reflect a lifetime of observation, not of bitterness. They smile often, not because life was easy, but because they mastered its challenges. Shi Heng Yi often reminds his students, you cannot control how long you live, but you can control how well you live each day you're given. The world loves to ask for secrets. What pills do they take? What diet do they follow? What magic do they know? But the truth disappoints those who seek shortcuts. There is no secret. There is only consistent mastery over the simple things, repeated thousands of times, until those practices become part of one's very being. And that mastery begins not at 94, but long before. The rare master understands early that waiting for illness to appear before caring for health is like waiting for a roof to collapse before fixing the foundation. They began their preparation decades earlier, not driven by fear, but by wisdom. They saw each sunrise as a chance to reinforce the body, sharpen the mind, and cleanse the heart. Shi Heng Yi says, the roof does not leak during the storm if the roof was cared for before the rain. This is why, when others ask how they live alone at 94, they simply smile. Because their strength does not come from extraordinary effort today. It comes from thousands of quiet mornings, where they practiced small disciplines that now sustain them effortlessly. The first hour of their day holds the blueprint for this longevity. Within it, you find not complex rituals but simple, conscious habits. Habits that align body, mind, and spirit from the moment their eyes open. And over time, these habits became the invisible scaffolding holding their lives firm while others crumbled. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the habits you build today are the body you live in tomorrow. And now, we will enter into these habits one by one. You will see how these simple morning practices have given them the power to live not just longer, but better. Not dependent, but sovereign. Not fragile, but strong. This is not distant for you. These same habits can be yours. You do not need to wait until your health declines. You do not need to wait until life demands change. The time to begin is now. Shi Heng Yi says, the earlier you walk the path, the longer the path serves you. Let us now step into the first habit, the sacred ritual that sets the foundation for the entire day and, ultimately, for an entire lifetime. The first habit of this rare master does not begin with movement or food. It begins before the body even rises from the bed. It is a practice of conscious awakening, a sacred moment between sleep and action where the mind reconnects with the present, and the day is born from clarity rather than chaos. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the quality of your day is set in the first breath you take with awareness. Most people awaken with noise. The alarm sounds, the mind races, tasks flood in, worries take hold before the feet even touch the floor. The day begins not with peace, but with agitation. And so, the entire day follows the energy of its chaotic start. Over years and decades, this pattern erodes the nervous system, clouds the mind, and shortens the life. But the master at 94 has long abandoned this unconscious awakening. Instead, every morning begins in stillness. As his eyes open, he remains lying for a moment, fully aware that another day has been given. His first thought is not of obligations but of gratitude. Before the mind can reach for worries, he softly whispers to himself, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this life." Shi Heng Yi says, gratitude is the first nourishment of the mind. In these first seconds, he aligns himself with life's gift. There is no rush, no urgency. The world can wait. His internal world comes first. After gratitude, he directs attention to his breath. 3 deep, slow breaths. In through the nose, expanding the belly gently. Out through the mouth, releasing tension. With each exhale, the body softens, and the mind anchors deeper into calm presence. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the breath is the bridge between thought and action. Master it, and you master your entry into each day. Now fully awake, but not yet moving, the master performs a brief internal scan. He observes his body, the state of his joints, the flow of his energy, any tension present. But he does not judge what he finds. He observes with neutrality, simply listening to the body's current state. This practice serves 2 purposes. First, it trains awareness over the physical vessel. Second, it cultivates acceptance. If the body feels stiff, he acknowledges it without frustration. If the body feels strong, he acknowledges it without pride. Both states are temporary visitors. What remains constant is his presence. Shi Heng Yi often reminds, awareness without judgment is the highest form of discipline. Only after this inner preparation does the master sit up, slowly, deliberately. No jerking motions, no sudden rush. At 94, balance is not taken for granted. By rising with conscious control, he protects his joints, his circulation, and his nervous system. Sitting now at the edge of the bed, feet planted firmly on the floor, he rests his hands gently on his thighs and repeats one final thought before beginning his day. Today, I walk with strength, clarity, and gratitude. This affirmation is not empty words. It is an intentional setting of his internal compass. Where others allow the world to dictate their emotions, the master commands his inner state from the start. Shi Heng Yi teaches, if you do not set the direction of your mind, the world will pull you into its confusion. By the time his body stands, the foundation for the entire day is already built. The storm of thoughts that would normally consume most people before breakfast never arrives. His mind remains anchored in the simplicity of breath, presence, and gratitude. Though simple, this practice holds enormous power. It calms the nervous system. It stabilizes blood pressure. It prevents the cortisol spike common in chaotic mornings. It maintains balance and prevents dizziness. It fills the heart with peace, not agitation. Day after day, year after year, this conscious awakening becomes an armor against stress, a nourishment for the heart, and a foundation for physical longevity. Shi Heng Yi says, master the first 5 minutes of your day, and you will master the entire day. While others rise and fall at the mercy of life's demands, the master remains centered, not by accident, but by design. And so, with his mind calm and his body awake, he now moves into the second essential habit, one that preserves his physical vitality well into his 94th year, the practice of conscious movement. With his mind centered and breath steady, the master moves into the second pillar of his daily discipline, conscious movement. This is not exercise in the way modern culture understands it. not an act of punishment or exhaustion. It is a sacred dialogue between the body and the mind, a daily ritual that keeps the vessel alive, responsive, and resilient even at 94 years of age. Shi Heng Yi teaches, stagnation invites decay. Movement sustains life. Most people, especially as they grow older, move less and less. The body stiffens, joints lose their range, muscles weaken, and balance becomes fragile. What they call aging is often simply the natural consequence of disuse. The human body was never designed for prolonged stillness. Every joint, every muscle, every tendon was created for motion. But when the average person feels stiffness, they retreat further into inactivity. The master understands the opposite truth. Stiffness is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to move with awareness. Shi Heng Yi says, where there is discomfort, bring attention. Where there is tension, bring breath. Upon rising, the master begins gentle movements. First, simple neck rotations, slow, full circles, awakening the cervical spine and releasing overnight tension. He does not force range but moves within comfortable boundaries, expanding them gradually. Next, his shoulders roll backward and forward, opening the chest, releasing the weight that accumulates from years of life pressing down. This simple act maintains posture, preventing the stooped back so common in the elderly. His arms stretch upward, fingers interlacing, elongating the spine toward the ceiling. Each breath flows smoothly, guiding the expansion and contraction of movement. The spine remains supple, the discs nourished through gentle decompression. Shi Heng Yi teaches, a flexible spine is the root of youthful vitality. The master then rotates his waist slowly, maintaining balance while waking up the core muscles. Gentle side bends follow, ensuring that both sides of the body receive equal attention. His hips, the foundation of balance, receive circular rotations to maintain fluidity, a key to avoiding the dangerous falls that take so many in old age. Finally, his knees bend gently, ankles rotate, toes spread. Every joint is visited like an old friend, cared for with deliberate attention. Shi Heng Yi says, do not wait for your body to break before you honor it. This sequence requires no equipment, no complex choreography. It lasts perhaps 15 to 20 minutes, but its effects compound across years. Ligaments stay elastic. Blood circulates smoothly. The nervous system receives constant feedback, preserving balance and coordination. Muscles remain engaged, preventing atrophy. More importantly, the master moves not with distraction, but with full presence. His mind remains engaged in each motion. He feels the texture of the stretch, the resistance of the muscles, the alignment of his bones. In this way, movement becomes meditation. Shi Heng Yi teaches, to move the body without the mind is to waste half the practice. This conscious movement serves another invisible function. It reminds the master daily that the body still belongs to him. Every morning, he reclaims his sovereignty over his physical vessel. As others his age surrender to walkers, canes, and assistants, he stands firmly on his own legs, not because his body is immune to aging, but because he has refused to abandon its care. Through these morning rituals, his nervous system remains finely tuned. His reaction time stays sharp. His muscles respond quickly to shifts in balance. His joints retain full range, reducing the risk of falls, fractures, and immobility. Shi Heng Yi says, the one who moves early moves long. There is also an energetic benefit. As the blood flows, as the breath deepens, as the muscles awaken, life force, what the Shaolin call qi, circulates freely throughout his system. This life force is not mystical. It is the natural byproduct of a body well maintained. Where others feel fatigue upon waking, he feels energized. Where others dread the effort of movement, he welcomes it as nourishment. Even at 94, he does not view this practice as optional or extraordinary. To him, it is as natural as eating or breathing. It is simply the way of life. And yet, as essential as the body's movement is, he knows that the true battlefield lies deeper. After honoring the body, he now turns inward, into the quiet space of the mind, to perform the third habit that sustains his longevity, the practice of morning silence. With his body awakened and his blood flowing, the master now steps into a space that most people avoid their entire lives, the silence of the mind. While the world rushes to fill the morning with noise, phones, news, conversations, tasks, he chooses stillness. This is not emptiness. This is intentional space where clarity is cultivated before the day's demands arrive. Shi Heng Yi teaches, a noisy mind is an exhausted mind. A quiet mind regenerates itself. At 94, mental clarity is not something the master hopes for. It is something he creates each morning. He understands that thoughts are like wild animals. If left untrained, they run uncontrolled. Over decades, he has disciplined his mind to sit calmly, like a lake undisturbed by the wind. After his movement practice, he sits. No music, no devices, no distractions. Just himself, his breath, and the present moment. The world is still waking, but inside, he is already fully alive. His spine remains upright, his hands resting gently on his lap. Eyes softly closed. Breath slow and steady. Inhale, exhale, the rhythm of life itself. Shi Heng Yi says, the breath is the anchor that holds the mind in place. In these moments, the master does not chase thoughts, nor does he fight them. When a thought arises, perhaps a memory, a plan, a worry, he simply observes it, allows it to pass, and returns to his breath. Like clouds floating across the sky, the thoughts come and go. He remains unmoved. Most people, especially as they age, become prisoners of their own minds. They replay old regrets, anticipate future losses, and create suffering long before any actual event occurs. The master understands this trap. He has trained himself to release attachment to these mental stories. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the mind is a storyteller. Freedom comes when you stop believing every story. Through his morning silence, he purifies his mental landscape. He does not allow yesterday's events to pollute today's peace. He does not carry old arguments into the new day. Each morning is a rebirth, a clean slate from which to act with clarity. This daily discipline has profound effects. Studies have shown what ancient wisdom has always known, that regular meditation strengthens cognitive function, protects memory, regulates emotions, and reduces stress hormones. But for the master, these are not the reasons he practices. These are simply the rewards. He sits in silence because it is the foundation of inner mastery. Shi Heng Yi says, you cannot master the day until you have first mastered your own mind. Even at 94, he remains mentally sharp. His memory serves him well. His decisions are thoughtful. He listens carefully before speaking. His words carry weight not because they are loud, but because they emerge from stillness. And perhaps most importantly, his emotional stability protects him from the common sufferings of old age. While others drown in anxiety about their health, their future, or their past, the master sits in peace. He accepts what he cannot control and directs his energy only toward what remains within his influence. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the mind that accepts its limits becomes limitless within them. His morning silence also becomes a sanctuary for reflection. If a problem requires his attention, he contemplates it here, not in panic, but in calm analysis. He has learned that solutions often rise naturally from stillness, not from frantic thinking. Each session lasts perhaps 20 minutes. Sometimes less, sometimes more. The length is not important. What matters is the consistency. Day after day, year after year, he has carved out this space of inner quiet. And now, decades later, it is this habit that allows him to face each day with composure while others his age struggle beneath mental storms. Shi Heng Yi says, the calm mind carries the light that others seek in their darkness. This is why, when people ask how he remains so clear at 94, he smiles. His secret is not in what he adds to his mind, but in what he allows to leave. He releases noise before it accumulates. He chooses clarity before confusion arrives. Now, as his mind rests steady and his body remains strong, he turns to the final habits that sustain his full independence, the conscious nourishment of his body and the purpose that fuels his will to live. For even at 94, the master understands, without proper fuel and purpose, even the strongest foundation can weaken. With his mind steady and his body awakened, the master now completes his morning with two final habits, habits that, together, fuel both his physical longevity and his reason for rising each day. Shi Heng Yi teaches, a vessel must be filled with care and guided with purpose. The fourth habit, conscious nourishment. At 94, the master does not eat for pleasure alone. He eats for function, for life. While others his age may have lost discipline in their diet, indulging in processed foods, excessive sugar, or heavy meals, the master has long understood that every bite is either medicine or poison. His first meal is light but rich in what the body truly needs. Simple fruits, full of natural hydration and living energy. A handful of nuts, providing essential fats for the brain and joints. Warm water with lemon to cleanse the system gently after the night's rest. Occasionally, a small portion of fermented foods to strengthen digestion, a practice rooted in ancient wisdom. Shi Heng Yi says, the body respects what you feed it. Feed it clarity, and it will serve you long. There is no rush while eating. Each bite is chewed slowly, each taste fully experienced. He understands that digestion begins not in the stomach, but in the mouth. By eating with mindfulness, he protects his digestion, avoids overeating, and allows his body to extract maximum nourishment with minimal burden. The master avoids excess salt, refined sugar, and artificial ingredients, not through rigid deprivation, but through gentle understanding. These substances steal more energy than they provide. His meals are not elaborate feasts but simple, balanced offerings that allow the body to perform its functions efficiently. Shi Heng Yi teaches, simplicity in food is complexity in health. And so, while others his age struggle with digestion, fatigue, and illness aggravated by poor dietary choices, the master moves through his days with sustained energy, clear thinking, and stable mood. But even with a healthy body and a calm mind, the master knows that one final element is essential to sustaining life at 94, purpose. The fifth habit, daily purpose. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the body breathes, the mind thinks, but the spirit must have a reason to rise. Many elders who lose their sense of purpose soon see their health decline rapidly. Without something to wake for, something to contribute to, something to cultivate, the life force diminishes. The body weakens not from age, but from emptiness. The master, however, has carefully cultivated small but meaningful reasons to greet each new day. He tends to his small garden, nurturing life as he nurtures his own. He writes reflections, preserving wisdom for others. He meets with younger students, sharing quiet guidance. He practices calligraphy or studies texts that continue to deepen his understanding. Shi Heng Yi says, the mind ages when it stops learning. The heart fades when it stops giving. This sense of contribution, however small, keeps his energy circulating. His life is not lived in waiting for death but in participating fully with each breath granted. Even at 94, his eyes do not carry the emptiness of resignation. They carry the light of one who remains engaged with life's unfolding. And because of this engagement, his body remains stronger, his mind clearer, his heart lighter. Shi Heng Yi teaches, purpose is the breath of the soul. And so, these 5 morning habits, simple, steady, and profound, have allowed the master to live alone, in full control, while others depend on assistance for even the most basic tasks. He wakes with gratitude. He moves with intention. He calms the mind with silence. He nourishes the body with care. He fuels the spirit with purpose. None of these habits were born from fear of aging. They were born from respect for life. Shi Heng Yi says, the one who honors life daily receives its gifts longer. The truth is simple, you do not have to wait until you are old to walk this path. These habits are available to you now. And every day you delay, you surrender another brick of your foundation. The master you see at 94 did not become this way by accident. He is the visible result of thousands of invisible choices made long ago. Shi Heng Yi teaches, longevity is not an event. It is a practice. If this wisdom resonates with you, I invite you to declare your own commitment. In the comments below, write, I choose daily mastery. Let this be your first small choice toward a future of strength, clarity, and peace, no matter your current age. And if you wish to continue walking the Shaolin path of discipline and inner power, subscribe to this channel. Together, we will train not for today, but for a life fully lived. Shi Heng Yi says, "The path of mastery begins not tomorrow, but now. The choice is yours."